technology at the appraiser's office needs to be more modernized. Their website, you can do a sales search on there now to find out what properties you're selling for. But if you try to find what a vacant lakefront lot is sold for, or a vacant lot in a neighborhood, you can't search by that criteria like you can some of the commercial properties. That's one of the areas that we need to improve. Also, one of the problems I run into on my day-to-day appraisal activities is factual errors in tax cards. I've had 2 instances in the last month where I had realtors and homeowners and buyers and sellers all upset with me because I appraised their house, and after I measured the house and calculated the square footage, it ended up being quite a bit smaller than what the tax cards actually showed it to be. And I even had a realtor say, but Zillow says it's that square footage. I'm like, who cares about Zillow? So, and being an actual appraiser, I want to make sure that the assessments are as accurate as they can be. Some of our markets in Lake County are down badly, like in the Claremont and Groveland area. Some of our markets are up, believe it or not, like in the Villages. And unless the assessments are following that same trend, then you're not getting actual fair assessments that you should be getting.
And that ends round 2, and it's 7 o'clock. So for the next 30 minutes or so, we will have, please, I'll ask the 4 candidates to please come forward, and we'll all stand here. Come on up. And we'll move to questions from the audience, and please raise your hand or say hey or whatever, and I'll try to call upon an individual. When you ask your question, please keep it short, 1 or 2 sentences, and then we'll give the candidate, Joanne, one minute to respond.
John, since we've got empty chairs up there, I'd rather have all 4 stand up for 30 minutes. Why don't they sit down when they get a question, then you stand up and answer?
I don't have any trouble standing up.
Sit down they can. So let's start with the first question, please. Dick.
To whom would like to respond, what discretion, when you consider the Constitution, the statutes, and the Department of Revenue's rules and regulations, how much discretion does the property appraiser have?
I'll answer that. And that's why it's perfectly okay for myself. If I'm elected, I would definitely, in fact, I would have already started classes on property appraising to get the state certified appraisal certificate, but they're not running any classes right now. But if you look at the Constitution and you look at the statutes and you look at the 232-page Department of Revenue handbook, there really isn't a lot of discretion. It's more or less a cut and dried procedure as far as that goes.
The follow-up question is, then why do we elect them?
Well, I can answer this question. We elect them because you need someone to protect the taxpayer. The fact is, there is a lot of discretion. The Supreme Court has ruled that property appraising is an art, not a science. They've ruled that the 8 factors in appraising property, you shouldn't necessarily use one more than the other, but they are truly just a guide to use to appraise a property. So our property appraiser has a vast discretion, so to speak, in appraising properties. But the Department of Revenue, what they do is they provide oversight. And that oversight is to ensure that a property appraiser in any county is not over-appraising, is not doing things wrongly, whether it's granting exemptions or other classifications. So if you want to protect the property owners in a county, you need to have an elected property appraiser. Because otherwise, you'll have a property appraiser that's doing work for the county government, appraising property high just to maximize, or appraising certain types of properties high to maximize revenue for the government. That's why it's so important to have elected property appraisers.
Okay.
Doris Russ. Carey, in 1 minute, tell me why you think you're qualified to be a property appraiser.
Well, I've done great work in the legislature dealing with property tax issues directly. I've done work that involves doing efficiencies for the property appraiser's office, allowing them to use that photography imagery that has saved tens of millions of dollars. I've done value adjustment boards. I've managed a business, the Peterson Gun Shop, in Mount Dora with my brother since 1981. And I'm not wrapping myself in a flag. I've served in, next April will be 31 years that I've served in the 4th Army National Guard. And I took 130 men in the Alpha Company of Leesburg. I took them to Iraq, and we did two things. We completed our mission, and I brought them home alive. So I'm proud of my military service.
Question.
John Harris. Mr. Havill.
Yes, sir.
I don't even know how long you've been property appraiser. I know it's a long, long time.
1976.
What do you consider your greatest accomplishment as property appraiser?
The greatest accomplishment, I turned an office that had hard cards and pencils that they used to erase assessments and change them. I computerized the office into a main system. Then when PCs came out, we went to that. I organized the office in the field department, drafting department. We do the maps in our office. Carey says when he gets in, he's going to have a mapping department. We've only had one for 35 years since I took over. Field department, we've got a tangible personal property department. I personally look at trusts that come in to make sure they qualify for homestead, and some of them are that thick. And you have to know what the elements are to grant somebody homestead exemption based on a trust. We go on and on and on. The biggest problem I've got is our tax roll, and being told that we've got problems with the tax roll. But I challenged former Senator Baker to show a letter he's got that says we've had errors and everything else last year. Because this thing is 2 letters I got from the Department of Revenue. Good job. We have all zeros here for problems with our tax roll. We have not had any problems since I've been your property.
Thank you. Next question, please. Question for that candidate.
If he's got a letter, let him bring it out.
Question. Yes, in the back.
There are a number of people back here who've been real estate brokers for many, many years, and we use the Property Appraiser's website a lot. And I'd like Mr. Baker to tell us, what can we do to upgrade the website that we have now? Because it's kind of hard to get through sometimes.
Well, that's the complaints I hear, is that it's just difficult to navigate. So, this isn't a big fix. We just need the right IT people empowered to make the changes to make it more business friendly. And the easy fix is to get a group of realtors or the folks that use the website the most and said, hey, what's the problem? How can we make it better?
And
It's not a big issue. It can be fixed in a month.
Can there be a spot on the website for the professionals to use specifically?
Look, wait a minute, hold it here. We get to ask one question, and in your case, you're standing. Ask a question, sit down, and let the person answer, please. Go ahead, Carey.
I think I answered the question.
Next question.
Mr. Price, what makes you qualified to run the appraiser's office?
Well, I have been running my own appraisal firm since 1996, and I've had as many as 12 appraisers working for me at one time, along with the support staff and the research staff that makes you run an appraisal business. So I'm already very familiar with the day-in, day-out operations of appraisers. And plus having the qualifications and designations that I have, in my mind, makes me the highest qualified candidate here.
Mr. Price, if you are a property appraiser and you have all these people in your office, are you duplicating services with our county appraiser?
No, what I primarily do now is appraisals for banks, for mortgages, for attorneys, for estate work, for divorces, that kind of work. Don't actually do mass appraising in my position now, although I am familiar with the IAAO and their coursework and what is involved in doing that.
So there is a difference.
Yes, a little bit. We still have the same basic principles. You still use a cost approach, an income approach, a sales approach. And the sales approach, even despite what Pam said, is still the most accurate for any kind of residential appraising, because right now, in our market, it costs way more to build a house than it's actually worth in the market. In some cases, it's as much as 40% difference between new cost and what the value, market value is. And on commercial properties, we primarily use the income approach because it's important how much rent you can generate and not really what it can sell for.
We have a question for Pam Lee up here, please.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to just
Go ahead.
about that, I wasn't really and you're correct about that, but I was more speaking of the people who have been in their homes for 40 years and their neighbor next door sold their house for 4 times what its actual value was, and that in turn raised the value of the next door neighbor. I have a lot of people come to me and asking me, why did my assessment go up? Well, just because my next door neighbor sold their house for, you know, a whole lot of money during the boom. So yes, the new homes, yes, but the older homes need more of a look as to the cost and then the depreciation.
I'd like, can I add something, John? Amendment 10 was passed years ago. I can't remember the exact year. And that basically said when you get homestead exemption, we assessed it at market value that first year. And each year after that, you go up to 3% per year until you get to the market value. Now, you bought your home 10 years ago, and we got it appraised down here. The home next door is identical to yours, and that person bought it last year. His first assessment at market value is going to be up here, where your assessment is going to be down here. And those are some of the intricacies that you get into, that you don't get into private appraising. Walter, you know, he's a good guy, but every time we're at a meeting together, he comes over and asks me questions. Who approves your budget? How many parcels do we have in Lake County? I'm educating Walter like I did.
Yes, Barbara.
I have a question of Mr. Price. Should you be elected, would you close your business? Because it would seem to me that might be a conflict of interest.
I would, yes, I would. I would not want to come out to your house if you went to the bank to get a mortgage, and I came out and appraised your house for $150,000, and then turned around and the property appraiser's office appraised it for $130,000. It's like, you know, no. So yes, I would have to shut down.
All right.
So,